anonymity and dating might not exactly seem like a match made in heaven. After all, you're going to want to know who the person that you're dating actually is, right? You don't want them to just be, a blank face with a question mark in front of them. But it's not really about knowing or not knowing who it is that you're dating. What we're really talking about here is safety. And when it comes to dating, safety is really important, right? Because you're going to be having a lot of interactions where you're being really emotional or intimate or vulnerable. And it's important to feel safe, to be able to facilitate having those kinds of conversations and having those kinds of moments. But you might be saying, okay, well, safety, that's really important. I can get on board with that, but where does anonymity come into it? Why is this related to safety? Especially because a lot of the time when we talk about anonymity, people will actually speak about it in opposition with safety, and they'll say that anonymity is something which makes people less safe, especially online. We've often learned about things like stranger danger, but in reality, anonymity is actually something which can help protect people from harassment and from stalking online, which are two of the biggest safety issues which people face. Now, harassment is something which a lot of people experience online in various different forms, whether it be threats of violence, whether it be repeated unwanted messages. There's lots of different ways that it can manifest. And a lot of people, especially younger people who tend to spend more time online and are more likely to be the people using dating apps as well, have reported that they've experienced some kind of harassment. Everyone's kind of had one of these experiences, right, where you're talking to somebody and you tell them to go away, but they just won't leave. They won't leave you alone. They just keep messaging you or keep finding ways to contact you. There was actually some research done, and we'll put the exact numbers up here, but where I think it was 37% of people who had used dating apps reported that after they told someone that they weren't interested, they had continued receiving messages from them and kept being contacted. And while that might not feel like a really big deal, it's things like this which can build up and are signs of a bigger issue at hand here. And sometimes this harassment can really escalate as well and manifest in much more severe, not to downplay the effects of online harassment, but can turn physical and turn into real life harassment and stalking as well. There are a few examples of this happening where people have been tracked down using social media and been assaulted in various ways. And the rates and the incidences of these kinds of cases is increasing. So in the UK, there's been a reported increase, I think it was fourfold between 2014 and 2018, in the number of stalking cases which had been reported. Obviously, during that same time period, we're seeing a lot higher usage of social media, as well as people just becoming more comfortable on social media, right? Posting more and more of their lives online. And then if you don't have your social media accounts locked down, then you really are opening yourself up to people being able to find you, people being able to find personal information, find people that you know, find out maybe even where you are at a specific time. Not to sound really alarmist about all of this stuff or try to scare anybody, but these are really real threats of social media, and you've got to be aware who you're sharing that information with. Now, where anonymity comes into it, right, is a lot of the time, if you're looking to date somebody online, you might give away your phone number or maybe your Instagram handle or something like that so that you can keep messaging with them somewhere else. Now, the issue with this is obviously you're opening Pandora's box up for them to then try and find other information about you, potentially, and opening yourself up to maybe some of that harassment that we were talking about earlier. Whereas if you were to use a platform like Session, right, where you're effectively giving them a piece of information, in this case the session ID, which, if you want to, you can make it really specific to them. They're not going to be able to find any other information about you using that ID. You can use it to go and have a conversation with them off the dating app and take the conversation elsewhere, which is a really common thing that people want to do on dating apps. And continue having that conversation in a place that is private, it is secure, and it's safe. And if a boundary gets crossed, or even if you just decide that you're not interested anymore, it's really easy for you to cut that cord and decide you're not going to speak to that person anymore, and they won't have any means to harass you or take it any further, basically. It's also, as a bit of a side note, a lot of apps, including apps like Tinder and Hinge, give you the option to connect your social media accounts directly to the dating app. And sometimes this will let people go and look at your social media, or people will often mention their social media in a bio or something like that. Or it will just live update the feed from your social media account, say from your Instagram. It might show some recent photos. It's important to be really careful about that kind of thing, because like I was saying before, sometimes, as harmless as it might seem, this could definitely open Pandora's box in a sense. So it's just important, obviously, as it always is, to be aware of your own privacy and your own safety, and how those two concepts kind of play into each other, especially when we're talking about something like dating. So stay safe out there, everybody, and consider using a more anonymous chat app like Session next time you're going to hook up. See ya.